Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 18. King Yayati regains his youth. Text number 45. Iti pramuditaha puruho. Iti pramuditah puruho. Pratyagruhnat jaram pituho. Pratyagruhnat jaram pituho. Sopi tad vayasa kaman. Sopi tad vayasa kaman. Yathavat jujushe nrupa. Yathavat jujushe nrupa. Iti pramudita puruho. Pratyagruhnajjaram pituho. Sopi tadvayasa kaman. Yathavat jujushe nrupa. Pratyagruhnajjaram pituho. Sopi tadvayasa kaman. Yathavat jujushe nrupa. Iti pramudita puruho. Pratyagruhnajjaram pituho. Sopi tadvayasa kaman. Yathavat jujushe nrupa. Iti pramudita puruho. Pratyagruhnajjaram pituho. Sopi tadvayasa kaman. Yathavat jujushe nrupa. Iti. In this way, pramuditaha, very pleased. Puruho. Puru. Puru. Pratyagruhnat, accepted. Jaram, the old age and invalidity. Pituhu, of his father. Saha, that father. Yayati, api, also. Tatvayasa, by the youth of his son. Kaman, all desires. Yathavat, as required. Jujushe, satisfied. Nripa, O Maharaj Parikshit. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Shukadeva Goswami said, in this way, O Maharaj Parikshit, the son named Puru was very pleased to accept the old age of his father Yayati, who took the youth of his son and enjoyed this material world as he required. Please repeat this translation after me. Shukadeva Goswami said, in this way, O Maharaj Parikshit, the son named Puru was very pleased to accept the old age of his father Yayati, who took the youth of his son and enjoyed this material world as he required. I'll read the next few verses. Text 46. Saptadvipa samyak pitruvat palayan prajaha yathopajosham vishayan jujushe avyata avyahata indriyaha. Translation. Thereafter, King Yayati became the ruler of the entire world, consisting of 7 islands, and ruled the citizens exactly like a father. Because he had taken the youth of his son, his senses were unimpaired, and he enjoyed as much material happiness as he desired. Text 47. Devayani api anudinam manovagdeha vastubihi preyasa paramam pritim uvaha preyasi rahaha. Translation. In secluded places, engaging her mind, words, body, and various paraphernalia, Devayani, the dear wife of Maharaj Yayati, always brought her husband the greatest possible transcendental bliss. Text 48. Ayajat yajna purusham kratubhir bhuri dakshinaihi sarva devamayam devam sarva vedamayam harim. Translation. King Yayati performed various sacrifices in which he offered abundant gifts to the Brahmanas to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari, who is the reservoir of all the demigods and the object of all Vedic knowledge. Text 49. Yasmin idam virachitam vyomniva jaladavalihi naneva bhati na bhati swapnamaya manorataha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. The Supreme Lord Vasudeva, who created the cosmic manifestation, exhibits himself as all-pervading, like the sky that holds clouds. And when the creation is annihilated, everything enters into the Supreme Lord Vishnu and varieties are no longer manifested. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As stated by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva is one with the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Absolute Truth. Everything is in him in the beginning, and at the end all manifestations enter into him. He is situated in everyone's heart, Sarvasya Chaham Hrudi Sannivishtaha, and from him everything is emanated, Janmadhyasya. All material manifestations, however, are temporary. The word Swapna means dreams, Maya means illusion, and Manoratha means mental creations. Dreams, illusions, and mental creations are temporary. Similarly, all material creation is temporary. But Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the eternal absolute truth. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Shukadeva Goswami is narrating the history of Yayati. Yayati was the emperor of the whole world, but somehow he got into this awkward situation that he was cursed to become prematurely old and invalid. So when he begged Shukracharya that I have not satisfied my desires yet, so kindly do something about my premature aging. So Shukracharya gave him one benediction that you can exchange your old age for somebody else's youth. And after you enjoy, you can return back their youth. So Yayati went and asked his sons. None of the sons agreed, except the last one, Puru. And Puru, the way he agreed is very interesting. First of all, he expressed his gratitude to his father, for the father is responsible for giving the human form of body. And Puru, being enlightened, he said, this human form of life can enable one to become an associate of the Supreme Lord. That means Puru is spiritually very, very, very advanced. And he further says, a son who acts by anticipating what his father wants him to do is first class. But one who acts upon receiving father's order is called second class. And one who executes his father's order irreverently, without proper respect, without proper consideration, he is third class. And a son who refuses his father's order is like his father's stool. He's useless, he's worthless. So, this Puru is so enlightened. Prabhupada explains in the purport, he thought, I am not a first class son of my father, because my father had to ask me, give me your youth. First class son means he will anticipate what the father wants, and before the father can even order him, he will carry out what the father wants him to do. So he thought, let me at least be second class. The father is asking me, how can I refuse? So immediately he accepted. And how did he accept? Iti pramuditaha puruhu pratyagranna jaram pituhu. He was very pleased. He was very, very happy to accept his father's old age. Who will be happy to accept old age? Nobody wants old age. And simply suffering. So, only a spiritually enlightened person, detached from the body, can accept any condition, any material condition, either the condition of the body or the condition of the external surroundings, whether they are favorable or unfavorable, for sense enjoyment. A spiritually enlightened person is not interested in any pleasures derived from having a youthful body by which one can enjoy sense gratification, or by externally pleasing circumstances. Ramante yogino anante satyanande chidatmani iti Rama pade nasau param brahma vidiyate. The Lord is called Rama because simply by chanting his name, great transcendentalists, they derive the highest pleasure. They derive the highest pleasure. Ramante means those who take pleasure. Yoginaha anante. How much pleasure do they get by chanting Rama's name? Anante, unlimited bliss. So, such transcendentalists who are basically devotees, Will they be interested in any material happiness? No. Material happiness for them is tuchha. That is also described in the Bhagavatam. Yan maithunadi grihamedi sukham mi tucham. Prahlad Maharaj says this. The sensual happiness culminating in sex pleasure, these are enjoyed by materialistic persons. Grihamedhi. Whereas those who are grihasthas, transcendentalists, they don't derive pleasure from sensual happiness. They derive pleasure from devotional happiness. Ramante yogino anante satyanande chidatmani iti ramapadena so param brahma vidiyate. Param Brahma, the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Absolute Truth, is called as Rama because he gives unlimited bliss to those who chant his name, those who hear his holy name, those who remember his holy name. So Puru was spiritually enlightened, spiritually advanced. So he was not at all concerned with material happiness. So he gladly accepted his father's request and accepted the old age of his father. Then what did Yayati do? Yayati enjoyed this material world as he required after getting back his youth from his son. Then it is described, Yayati became the ruler of the entire world consisting of 7 islands, Saptadvipa Patihi. This earth is called Saptadvipa Vasundhara. Consists 7 islands. What are these 7 islands? They are the 7 continents. 5th canto Prabhupada explains. Each of the continents, Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America, and the Antarctica. So all these are actually like islands because it's surrounded by oceans. So Yayati became the ruler of the entire world and ruled the citizens exactly like a father. Pitruvat palayan prajaha. Many places in the Bhagavatam we can read this or hear this. That an ideal ruler, he rules the world or the kingdom exactly like father takes care of the children, of the sons. That means it's great affection, great care, great responsibility. The king will actually rule over the citizens. And it is also said, while ruling so responsibly, Yati also enjoyed as much material happiness as he desired because he had taken the youth of his son. His senses were unimpaired. Youth is the stage of life when the senses are the strongest. So one can enjoy best sensual happiness only when one is in the youthful stage. So he enjoyed as much material happiness as he desired. And his wife, Devayani, being an ideal wife, she engaged her mind, words, body, and various paraphernalia to always bring her husband the greatest possible transcendental bliss. Now, why is this bliss described as transcendental bliss? He is trying to enjoy material happiness, sensual happiness, because the wife is very chaste. So, the pleasure she wants to give her husband is not exactly like material pleasure. because she is not interested in her enjoyment. So it is said here, Preyasa paramam pritim uvaha preyasi rahaha. She brought her husband the greatest possible transcendental bliss by all means, by engaging her mind, her words, her body, and various paraphernalia. Everything she simply used for giving pleasure to her husband. This ideal chaste wife. Ideal chaste wife. And it doesn't mean, if she is trying to give pleasure to her husband, that she is deprived of any happiness or pleasure. No. Simply by engaging in giving pleasure, one can get much more happiness than one can actually try to personally enjoy. Even it is said, the pious karmis who give charity or donation, it is said those who give lot of donations, sometimes some reporters will question them, why are you giving away so much donation or charity? So one of them replied, I get more pleasure by giving than by myself trying to enjoy the wealth in my possession. And this is a fact. This is a fact. So, if simply by trying to give her husband pleasure, she is deriving so much happiness, you can just imagine how much a devotee will get happiness by giving pleasure to Krishna. So Krishna will definitely reciprocate with the devotee who tries to render pure devotional service, which means simply tries to please Krishna by all means, without trying to take any pleasure for oneself. Then Krishna reciprocates and gives his devotee unlimited transcendental bliss. Unlimited transcendental bliss. So actually, people who try to enjoy personally, they are foolish, because this personal sense gratification, according to the Bhagavad Gita, is simply a source of so many miseries. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. And the pleasure they get is very meager. Adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. It has got a beginning and an end. It is always flickering. Flickering happiness. It is very, very little. Whereas the pleasure derived from pleasing Krishna is unlimited transcendental bliss. The quality is different, the quantity is different, both. So, one should never endeavor for any material happiness, sense pleasure. One should rather simply engage in pure devotional service, try to please Krishna and derive the greatest transcendental happiness, unlimited quantity. Then in the next verse it is said that King Yayati performed various sacrifices in which he offered abundant gifts to the Brahmanas to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari. This is the ideal king. King performs sacrifices to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari. This is what Bhagavad Gita says. Yajnarthat karmanaha anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya. What is the meaning of tadartham karma kaunteya? One should do sacrifice as recommended in the scriptures to please the Supreme Lord Hari or Vishnu or Yajna. And then one will be free from all bondage, all material bondage. So because Yayati performed various sacrifices to satisfy the Supreme Lord Hari, even though he was having so many desires for material enjoyment, these sacrifices purified him completely. So we'll read further how he actually became transcendentally enlightened, spiritually enlightened. Even though engaging in material sense pleasure is very dangerous because it entangles one further and further. Already by birth we are entangled in this material world. But if we engage, especially in the human form of life, in more and more sense gratification, we become further entangled. Then it's very difficult to come out of this entanglement, generally. But fortunate people who take to pure devotional service are very easily able to come out of this entanglement because of the quick purification that happens by pure devotional service. So similarly, King Yayati, he performed various sacrifices. And how did he perform these sacrifices? By giving abundant gifts to the Brahmanas. Ayajad yajna purusham kratubir bhuri dakshinaihi. So, satisfying the Brahmanas by giving them abundant gifts is the way to actually please the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is very pleased if the Brahmanas are satisfied. These are genuine Brahmanas who are dedicated for devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So he worshipped with the understanding that the Supreme Lord, Sarva Devamayam Devam, Supreme Lord is the reservoir of all the demigods. Sarva Devamayam Devam. And he's also Sarva Vedamayam Harim. He is also the Supreme Lord Hari, who is the object of all Vedic knowledge. The aim of Vedic knowledge, the goal of Vedic knowledge is Hari. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyam. In all the Vedas I am to be known. Krishna is the object of the goal of all Vedas. And then it is mentioned by Shukadeva Goswami that who is the Supreme Lord Hari who was being worshipped by Yayati? Described the Supreme Lord Vasudeva, who created this cosmic manifestation. Supreme Lord is a creator. Superficial understanding is Brahma is the creator. Those who know only about the demigods don't know the Supreme Lord beyond the demigods. They understand different demigods have got different functions. So Brahma has got the function of creation, Vishnu has got the function of maintenance, and Shiva has got the function of destruction. And during the maintenance phase, other demigods also take up different responsibilities. Regulating rain is done by Indra, regulating the wind is done by Vayudeva, regulating the oceans is done by Varuna, etc. But this is incomplete knowledge of this material existence. It's incomplete knowledge. Perfect knowledge is that beyond all the devatas, above all the devatas, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of everything, who is the reservoir of all the demigods. Sarva Devamayam Devam. Even though Vishnu is also one of the demigods in the sense that he takes responsibility for maintenance. So he also functions as if he is another demigod, but actually his position is distinctly superior to all the demigods. That he is transcendental to all the material creation. He is above all the demigods. He is the controller of all the demigods and everyone else. So he is the actual creator, because above Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva is Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is present at the bottom of the universe. At the bottom of the universe. And from his navel, one lotus flower has sprouted. And on that lotus flower, Brahma has taken birth, and Brahmaloka is located on that lotus flower. And in the stem of the lotus, all the various planets are situated. So, if we understand this fact, which is the confidential revelation in the confidential Vedic literature, like the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam reveals this. And there are other Vedic literatures also which reveal this, but it's confidential knowledge. That Vishnu is the creator, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and that Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is the maintainer, and that Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is the destroyer. In his form as Sankarshana, again, he is at the bottom of the universe. Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is lying on Anantasesha. And Anantasesha, he becomes slightly angry at the materialistic living beings. So, when his anger increases, there's a fire that is generated from his mouths. He's got unlimited mouths. And that fire burns the whole universe. It burns the whole universe. Everything is destroyed completely. So who's the destroyer? Shiva, as an agent of Anantasesha, he engages in the act of destruction. But in reality, the destruction happens because of Anantasesha, who is in the background, facilitating that destruction by Lord Shiva. Anantasesha is making it happen. So, actually, Vishnu is the creator, maintainer, destroyer. So, here it is said, the Supreme Lord Vasudeva, who created this cosmic manifestation, exhibits himself as all-pervading, like the sky that holds the clouds. So, he creates, and he only maintains by sustaining everything. Just like the sky is holding the clouds, but we can't make out. We think the clouds are just floating in space. But that space actually is called the sky. What we call as space, or what we understand as space, or what we experience as space, is actually the sky. And that sky holds everything. The sky holds everything that we see in this material existence. The objects, the gross objects, everything is held in the sky by the Supreme Lord. So He is all pervading and He holds everything. He sustains everything. And when the creation is annihilated, everything enters into Supreme Lord Vishnu and varieties are no longer manifested. So end of day of Brahma, when all the middle and lower planetary systems are inundated, the living entities belonging to the middle and lower planetary systems enter into the body of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. And the end of Brahma's life, when all the planets, the whole universe is destroyed, all the living entities, those who are not liberated, they enter into Mahavishnu's body. So that Mahavishnu is the reservoir of all the varieties that were manifested at the beginning of creation. So that is explained here. So Prabhupada says material manifestations are described as Swapna Maya Manoratha. They are like dreams, or they are like illusion, or they are like mental concoctions. Dreams are, dreams are temporary experiences, but they are not lasting. They come and go. They are temporary. Likewise, illusion that we are placed under is also a temporary phenomenon. Illusion is a temporary phenomenon. Illusion exists only as long as this creation exists. When the creation is destroyed, illusion is over, finished. No more illusion. And mental concoctions of every living being, they are also temporary. They are also temporary. Whatever we create in our mind, whatever idea, whatever thought, whatever feelings, all these are mental concoctions on the material platform. All feelings, all thoughts, all ideas, all plans, all conceptions, everything is temporary. So everything will be destroyed. Everything will be finished. They just come and go. So likewise, the entire material manifestation is temporary. It's temporary. It exists only as long as the Supreme Lord, as Mahavishnu, He breathes out, universes come out. And then for some time, He holds His breath. And then He breathes in again, everything is finished and enters it. So this creation, this material manifestation lasts only half a breath of Mahavishnu. That's all. But in our perception, it's a very, very long time. It's an entire lifetime of Brahma. And according to our calculation, it is what is that? 300 trillion years, 311 trillion years. Half a breath of Mahavishnu. So, who is this Vasudeva? All-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead. All-pervading Lord. So that is being described here by Shukadeva Goswami. I'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.